Welcome back, folks. Do you remember some time ago I said I bought one of these train tech sort of diesel multiple unit simulator sounding things, but I couldn't fit it in any of my stuff. Well, as it happens, of course, this Trans-Pennine DMU being old school, brilliant. Undo 2 screws, body comes off, nice and easy. So I fitted it, and alright, it's not the most perfect, but it does give you some kind of diesel sound, and as such it was certainly worth fitting. So I'm just going to have a quick run round. I'm having a bit of problem with this at the moment. I don't know why it seems to be catching on certain parts of the track, but let's see how we get on anyway. Give you a chance to hear the simulator. Like I said, it's not perfect, but at least when the train is stationary, you do hear the sound of the, well, essentially a little more than bus engines underneath it ticking over, and it will eventually cut itself out to save batteries. So, would I buy another one? Sadly, Train Tech, no I wouldn't. Excuse me. But having already spent the money, it'll fit into this and it'll do its job. But that isn't the main point of today's video, and you'll find out why in a moment. Now, as you know, I'm horribly bad at this unboxing lark, but I'm not likely to improve, so you'll just have to bear with me. Now, you've seen GT3 and you've seen DP2. Another of those prototypes that I've been waiting to get hold of, besides Falcon for the Type 4s, hasn't up till now been available at a price I was willing to pay, because it was initially bought out some years ago by Bachmann for the National Railway Museum, and those models are just, people have been asking silly prices for them. However, recently they seem to have become available again in the museum, and I decided when I was at the Railway Museum at York a few weeks ago that I didn't really have the room to bring it home in my luggage, but it was maybe a little bit above what I wanted to pay. But a bit of research at home meant that when I bought it from locomotion models and Shildon between them, I got some kind of money off. So I finally got it at a price I could afford. If you haven't guessed it yet, ladies and gentlemen, I can now produce to you DP1. And I now have DP1, DP2 and GT3. So my collection of these prototypes is complete. DP1, of course, English Electric Deltic. Now, back in 1942, English Electric took over the Napier engine factory as part of the war effort. And so when called upon to produce a prototype in 1955, they produced a prototype which they hoped actually would lead to export orders. So it was sort of modelled on the types of locomotives you would find in America and Canada and Commonwealth countries such as Australia. But not only that, it was fitted with a light at each end. Let me just, I always forget to take this off. There's the clamp. Oh yeah, bits and pieces you can add to it. Take the clamshell off. Now, this is a heavy model. Although the body is plastic, it's still a heavy model. Hornby Hornby are going to bring out a model of this in their Hornby 00 range. It's going to be die cast, I understand, and it's going to cost well over £400. And it's probably going to be far too heavy for the average layout, but there you are. Anyway, these are the lights in front, which, as I say, were never actually fitted with the light housing, never fitted with lights, so I don't expect to find these lighting up on here. But this was how this prototype ran on the East Coast main line about 4 years or so after it first entered service, because it ran trials on the West Coast main line, London to Liverpool. Then it ran trials on the Settle and Carlisle, and then they decided they'd electrify the West Coast main line, and so poor old Deltic found itself unemployed there, but moved to the eastern region, where it was greeted with enthusiasm, shall we say. And although not quite the same engines produced in the production Deltics, this was responsible for an order for the 22 Deltics that a lot of people in this country know and love, and a fair number have been preserved. But this could produce 3,300 horsepower and with a low axle weight, and so it made it perfect. It could carry 16 coach trains of 500 tons or more with ease, and 22 of these replaced 55 top-link locos. Amazing, isn't it? But I know you want to... Oh, and also, because of its colours, it got the name Ice Cream Cart. Sadly, it suffered a catastrophic failure in 1961 and was taken back to, I think, the Vulcan Foundry, where it was deemed not viable to repair it. It was stripped of a lot of its parts for spares and donated to the Science Museum in London as a body shell, basically, where it stayed until it was eventually given to the National Railway Museum. And this now, minus its guts, if you like, sits in triumph at the National Railway Museum at Shildon. So, I know you want to see it running, because that's the whole damn purpose of the video, isn't it? So, let's see what we can do for you. Now, what I didn't tell you was, because I got this at a price that I was willing to pay, obviously I didn't go for DCC or DCC sound, because it's unlikely to run too much on my layouts. These prototypes are mainly so that I've got a collection, which hopefully will benefit my grandsons one day. I told you about the big headlight here not being fitted on the prototype and therefore not being fitted here, but it does have working directional lights, just before you call me a liar. Okay, so let's give it a run, shall we? Seems to be a very smooth runner. Well, that certainly is a smooth runner, isn't it? Anyway, that is DP1. The only prototype of the diesels that I've really got to get now will be Lion. One of the other of the three Class 4 prototypes. I've got Falcon, I had Kestrel, but Lion is not yet at the price I'm prepared to pay, so watch this space. Anyway, I am going to have to start getting to work on this layout, aren't I? The room is a mess at the moment. Models all over the place. I've got to sort out the tidying up, take the track up, thoroughly clean the baseboard tables, and then decide what the final layout is going to look like. That may take a little while, but hopefully, now I'm not working at the railway for 2 or 3 months over the winter, I will have a bit more time to do it. So thank you for watching another short crappy video, but hey ho, it's me, isn't it? And we'll see you next time.